Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you a video about the Titanic walkers in the room. So, while everybody's addressing the plague-filled elephant of Death Guard, I think we're not paying enough attention to Imperial Knights being, still consistently good. I think we keep turning our eyes away from it, and yet somehow we're consistently surprised for a couple of months now. Topical. I know this is an Imperial Knights video, so I'm sorry, but I should mention Death Guard, from what I saw, had about 9 results this past weekend. Their opening Codex weekend. Everybody's flipping out, oh my gosh, Death Guard. Everybody loves them, and they're actually, strong now. So it's OP, please nerf. Meanwhile, Imperial Knights this past weekend had 8 results. Just looking at this, right? And I think that's time to have a conversation. And also, I'm going to throw a little bit of shade towards the Knights of Shade. I think it's time to consider at least one big knight. Because looking at all of these lists, we don't see that weird thing that happened where it was like, all right, just ally in something from Imperial agents so you have a cheap warlord. Not doing that. I think maybe at this stage of the game, you need at least one Titanic Walker. And then a bunch of the Armigers and or War Dogs. I think that sounds like no shit, we've been doing that the entire time. But Chaos Knights haven't been doing that. So, I don't know if that's cracking the code. Maybe you find the good Chaos Knight and do that. But I want to go over these lists that's happened this past weekend. You go, why? We already know what's going over here. Well, there's some interesting things going on here. So, first off, we have Dustin. When your knight is so legendary, he comes with his own pilot and his own name. And, Canis, okay? Andrew, Canis, Dick McTrickle, getting a little bit silly over here, but not only having Canis, with Control Alt Defeat being the list name, the enhancement didn't even know people knew there were enhancements in Imperial Knights, to be honest. Mysterious Guardian, alright, that's cool. We have Colin Watts taking Canis. We have Luca taking Canis. We have Antonio taking Canis. And we have Gordon taking Canis and 2 Cerastus Knight Atropos. 1, again, back at it, enhancement, Mysterious Guardian. And we have Nicholas, Mysterious Guardian, excuse me, on a Knight Lancer for Canis and Canis. So, outside of that, yeah, the things you would expect. Got Immolator, Inquisitor, Sisters of Battle, followed by Hellbrinds and Warglaives, right? Like that's the thing that we're going to consistently see here. But as we see as both a first place finish out of Gordon, Antonio, I'm going to come back to you because I lost the spot. Dustin, right? Seems like we're not necessarily tied. We're not even tied to the exact same allies. And where was Antonio? Yeah, so roughly same thing. So not even the same allies. So wow, you are trapped between Hellfringe and Warglaives for filling the rest of the list. It seems to be that there is some more play for Imperial Knights than we keep forgetting. Because you go, oh, that was just this one weekend. Alright? Weekend before last, weekend before that one. They've been here the entire year. The entire year. But somehow, we keep going, what do you mean Imperial Knights did something this weekend? And I'm not saying it's an issue, because at the end of the day, it's still a stat check, right? It is something that you might have to prepare for, and if your army can't handle that, your army can't handle that. And if somebody has 6 pairings where their opponent can't handle that, there's that. Also, we should note This is first and second here. This is third and fourth at this event. So, even the events that they're going to, it's not just one. I mean, obviously in some cases that's the case, right? But it is still a consideration of, huh, the Imperial Knights are taking good a good number of spots in in the top spots. Like that's a lot of podiums out of them. So, let's review Noble Lance for a second because here's the other thing that gotta admit a little bit sad unless I missed it. Let me just triple check. Um all Noble Lance, right? No duh. Don't think we saw any Quest Tour Forge pack. Yep, just making sure real quick. Noble Lance. All Imperial Knights models from your army have a 6 up feel no pain. If your army is honored, it's a 5 up feel no pain. Now that uh increases essentially the wound count, right? Effectively, your Canuses, your Lancers, your Helvrins will start pushing into wound territories that your opponent, regardless of if they kitted their army out, probably just can't handle because of the feel no pain. Your opponent think they got 2 solid shots off with the Tyran effects, and it just isn't enough, right? Squire's duty, alright? The start of your shooting phase or the start of the fight phase. 2 or more armature models from your army and 1 enemy unit that is eligible target for all of those armature models until the end of the phase. When resolving attacks that target that enemy unit, improve the strength and AP characteristic of weapons equipped by armature models by 1. If your army is honored until the end of the phase, +1 damage to those weapons as well. Yeah. So I don't think it's by surprise. It should surprise anybody that knights can do damage in general. Right now, I'm just learning how good Helvrins are lately. Right, I just keep reading it. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm not really getting it. I'm not really seeing how Helvrins have become such an issue for people until lately. Because I'm just like, oh, it's anti-fly, 2 up, it's whatever. This is a low volume of attacks, but I guess 2 armature autocannons, that's 8 attacks hitting on 3s, strength 9, AP 1 damage 3. D3 damage will do things that people don't want them to do. Skyfire Protocols is where we get the anti-fly. While this model is either wholly within your deployment zone or within range of an objective marker you control, its armature autocannons have anti-fly 2 up. Now, I didn't think too many things in the game have fly. Like, not to say that it's missing or not that common of one, but it seems to be giving more people guff lately than anything. I don't know if that's because people have been bringing more fly into their list to watch out for screens, and then you face Helvrins and go, well, shit, I don't really know. I really don't have a call for this one right now, but from what I'm hearing, it's this darn anti-fly 2 up that is really giving people issues. Now, you ask me, a Tyrannus player, I go, alright, I guess I gotta keep my Zoes and the Neurotyrant away from over there. But that kind of stops for me there. Now, mind you, if I'm being, a little bit funky, a little bit silly, and bring a Hive Crone or a Harpy, alright, fine, I guess I gotta worry about that too. But, I didn't really ever consider this was that much of a flux. If anything, it's just the sheer amount of having to take damage 3 attacks when AP isn't when nullifying AP isn't our strong suit, right? Now, we have other issues as Tyrann is trying to go into Imperial Knights, and this isn't a Tyrannus video, so I won't go too much further on that one. But it's just to say that out of any of the models you would have told me is the one causing issues for people, I would have never guessed it's the Armiger Hellfriends. Would have never seen that one coming. So that's that on that one. But also, the other thing, let's actually talk about the enhancement because, hey, looks like we're doing that lately. 25 points for Mysterious Guardian. Imperial Knights model only, the bearer has the deep strike ability. Once per battle, at the end of your opponent's turn, if the bearer is not within engagement range of any enemy units, it can fade away. If it does, remove it from the battlefield, then in the reinforcement step of your subsequent movement phase, set it up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away horizontally from all enemy models. If the battle ends and the bearer is not on the battlefield, it is destroyed. 25 points, you are now deep striking an Imperial Knight. Now, this is where again I will ask Chaos Knight players, hey, should you not be taking a big demon? I know everybody takes Rodigus, but come on, I think we can switch it up at this point because 25 deep striking a T12 situation, yeah, that's going to cause some issues, right? Especially with a fade away. So there's that. We also have to talk about rotate ion shields, where for 1 CP you get a 4-up invuln for your Imperial Knights against ranged attacks, right? Cool. You have CP generation with your army rule. When you become honored, well, if at the start of any of your command phase your selected oath deed is complete, your army becomes honored for the rest of the battle, and you gain 3 command points. You can only gain command points in this way once per battle, and CP gained in this way are exempt from the core rules limit of 1 per battle round. Cool. You have access to things like Lay Low the Tyrant, which, who am I kidding? It's always Lay Low the Tyrant. Oath ability, each time this model is selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll 1 hit roll and you can reroll 1 wound roll. This deed is completed if the enemy warlord is destroyed. So, we're looking at some lists including Calidus Assassins and some that don't, some that had even a Calexis in there. So it's even not to say that you're bringing a specific tech piece to make sure that the warlord goes pop, depending on what it is. It just looks like, finally, Imperial Knights, this edition, have been in a stable enough place that sometimes you can bring Atropos? Hell, fuck it, go for it. Or you could stick to just Canis Rex. And Canis Rex is still no slouch, 450 points for sustained hits 1 on everything he does, and crits on 5s. And once per turn, you can target this model with a stratagem. If it does, reduce the command point cost of that stratagem by 1 CP. So, the other thing about Noble Lance that has always rubbed me the wrong way is that 3 of them are for 2 CP. One of them, you cannot target Sir Hector, so that's cool, but you can still target Canis. So, for 3 of these, you can put Canis up by 1, or put Canis to costing this stratagem of 1 CP. And that's fine enough, right? I think Canis can survive to not have to rely on rotate ion shields, but to say that you still can. Not really looking too much on needing any other things. Canis, oh Canis. It still surprises me that some of the Imperium faction, excuse me, um, that have access to Canis lately, stopped taking him in list. For the low cost of 450 points, you can essentially do what's going on in these lists in other places. Canis Rex with a bunch of bullshit. A bunch of fucking bullshit. Because I still am lost on Helverins being the thing. Like, Warglaves, I'm like, yeah, I get it. But Helverins, man. Apparently they are the scourge of everybody lately. And I don't know. I'm still in shock about that one. But I guess that means just to say everybody's in shock because Imperial Knights continue to have good weekends. You see these trophies like there's armies in the game that are dying for this amount of love out of playability for several months on end. For it to be Imperial Knights and a stat check this late in the game where people are saying that Titanic is dead, and don't get me wrong, Titanic Towering does still have issues. So I don't want to set it up like like I don't really rate it. There's still issues, right? Um, and yeah, some things will pop Canis that turn one, and you will lose 450 points looking goofy, right? But at the end of it all, I think we also have seen Dreadmob, two Dreadmob lists perform with a Stampa. I'm just here to continue to push the idea that maybe, just maybe, one Titanic unit in a list can do decent enough. Maybe that's what separates the armigers from the Questores. Did I nail that? Is that how we did it? Right? Just gotta check. From the Dominus. Sorry. From the is aren't they Questores? No. I don't remember. I don't remember the lore. I'm sorry. Um. Yeah. No. I just look at that. Questores, right? That's what separates the Questores from the Armigers. I don't fucking know. This joke's going nowhere. But anyway, just wanted to say Imperial Knights looking pretty scary. Apparently, while everybody else is concerned about the meta of the new codices, the codices, um, with Death Guard, World Eaters, Emperor's Children, looking like Thousand Sons are going to be competitive. All of these things, apparently, we are all still sleeping on Imperial Knights beating our ass when we least expect it. So, looks like you should still be preparing to fight Imperial Knights and not just a brick of Deathstroud Terminators and probably not Angron. So, yeah, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.